Good morning. You're watching Hornbill TV's live. This is your anchor Kekrazanya Solo. Today we'll discuss about the ambitious redevelopment of Dimapur railway station that it's facing serious hurdles due to land encroachment. General Manager Chetan Kumar Srivastava from the Northeast Railway Frontier has highlighted that the lack of adequate space is significantly slowing down the project. The redevelopment of Dimapur railway station is facing delays due to the land encroachment despite a budget of Rs 283 crore allocated by the central government. Progress is stalled because unauthorized structures occupy much of the required land. General Manager Chetan Kumar Srivastava emphasized the need for adequate space to move forward and urged cooperation from all stakeholders. The project, which aims to modernize the century-old station and improve passenger amenities, was supposed to begin on April 30, 2024. However, delays in evicting encroachers may push this timeline back. Dimapur railway station handles out about 10,000 passengers daily and was once a major revenue source for the Northeast Frontier Railway. We'll now be joined by our associate editor, Al Muli, to discuss on this issue further. Hello, Al. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are. Hi.
Yes. So, Al, first of all, I'd like to ask you what specific steps are being taken by the Northeast Frontier Railway to address the land encroachment issue at Dimapur?
I think over the past about 30 years that the railway authorities have been grappling with the encroachment issue. One of the most significant obstacles to their achieving the goal of developing the Dimapur railway station is that most of these encroachers, they have gone to court. I remember way back in 2007 and 2008 that the authorities in Dimapur had initiated a legal recourse using the police enforcement authorities to physically clear out the encroachers. And it was unsuccessful. There was a little bit of violence, if I'm not mistaken. There was a scuffle between the encroachers and the police authorities that came to evict them. So over the years, there have been administrative steps that the authorities have tried to take, and also police enforcement steps that the district administration have tried to take to evict the encroachers, but I don't think that any of them were successful. Obviously, they're still there. The encroachers are still there. The court cases are going on. So the steps that the government have been taken, and considering that technically speaking, it cannot go in directly on its own because the Northeast Frontier Railways is an autonomous agency of its own with its own administrative mechanisms to address issues such as encroachment. So for the part of the local authorities, it is limited. The limit is because the autonomous agency itself is a self-governing agency when it comes to specially issues such as encroachment, which is within their jurisdiction. So the steps over the years have been just two administrative actions, but they could not do that also because of the court cases. The encroachers submitted, and police enforcement could not do much also, again because of the court cases. Otherwise, I think there were talks of physically clearing the tracks at least, so that somehow starting from those points, especially along the railway tracks, starting from those points they can start clearing the encroachers of the railway lands. As far as steps are concerned, those are the only ones.
All right, Ali, how has the Nagaland government responded to the railway authorities concerned about encroachment, and what role is the high power committee expected to play here? Like, especially what are the discussions, or what has been the discussions in the assembly session so far?
I don't remember the Nagaland Legislative Assembly talking about the railway encroachment issue for a long time now. I don't think they have. If I'm mistaken, correct me, but they've talked about land resources, they've talked about oil exploration, they have sometimes talked about encroachment, like in the community areas, not railways specifically. They've also spoken a lot about administration. Railways, no. But as far as I'm concerned, I was reading updates regarding the railway authorities meeting to tackle the whole issue of encroachment at the railway land. So I think one of the officials in the State Department, Secretary rank, I think, Robert Longshari. I think the whole idea for the involvement of the state government here is not necessarily in terms of policy. Of course, the transport department is also part of the agencies that regulate the well-being, let's say, of the land system, the ownership of the developmental premise that is the Dimapur railway station. But all the meetings that they have been having, according to media reports, because we're not privy to what they talked about, has concentrated on solution that will target direct removal of the encroachers. And during this 2007 and 2008 years, I think the discussions had always been on direct intervention instead of going through the administrative route to solve it at policy levels. Or if you can call it in peaceful ways without having to go into direct eviction activities. So those were the steps that they tried to take, but now that was not possible. Even during those times they could not do it, and they are still not able to do it. So the next step is to intervene through the government, through the higher hierarchies of the state government, to intervene in policy terms, like who are the people, how can we reclaim the land and put it before the court to be able to say this belongs to us. And through it, if the verdict comes in favor of the authorities at the railways and the district administration to say here, then I think both the administrative and policy level actions and direct eviction of the encroachers will be possible. Both of them will be possible. But now, because the cases that the encroachers put up before the court are still pending and the issue has yet to be decided by the court, even the government cannot do much in this regard.
All right, Al, you seem quite surprised when I asked you if there has been any discussion regarding this in the NLA. So my question is, like, is this too much of a remote topic or a topic of discussion to be discussed there? Because if we look into it, it's safe to say that this is a developmental crisis and it has been going on for years now. So it's also delaying the development of the state. So if there has been no discussion so far, why is it so?
I am not
because
saying...
we do need a solution.
I'm not saying that they have never conducted any discussions on the land encroachment issue at the Dimapur railway station area. I'm just saying that I'm not aware, because over the past about 20 years I have been in positions of leadership in the media houses, that there are very few stories and pictures and very few reports that come to my table that go to the publication without my knowledge, for instance. Or there have been many instances where I have been reporting extensively across India and Nagaland here. And you know the sight and the sounds of conversation, the pulse of the society when you are in such a position, when you are reporting, you are constantly in touch with the authorities. So these are the, as I always say, sights and sounds that you normally are attuned to all the time. So you know what is going on in this sector or in the society. So I don't remember, maybe they have had and we didn't report on it, or we just let it pass because it was not important enough. Or maybe they have never, I don't know. But that's just something that I'm not really clear on. But it is definitely important, because now that the Secretary of the Transport Department of Nagaland, they have had meetings, I think several months ago, with the railway authorities in Dimapur to talk about the possible solutions that they can arrive at, so that there will be developmental growth of the Dimapur railway station. I'm just suggesting that maybe now the state government is taking this issue seriously, But then again, it is not able to move forward that much because just like I mentioned earlier, over the past about 2 years ago, although the government had, in 2023, the government issued an order giving the administration, if I'm not mistaken, the whole reign of the issue, that they can go in directly and evict the settlers or encroachers there, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but it was in 2023. But that was something even the government could not do because the encroachers decided to go to court, and there are a lot of them. That's what I heard. We are not privy to all these documents, but as far as we know, there are cases in the court that the encroachers have put up. So although the state government, the assembly, they might not really be vocal about it, now that, like I said, the transport department at the secretarial level, they have started to engage with the authorities, say that there's so much to do here and there's so much at stake here. You mentioned about 230 crore that was given to the railway establishment for Dimapur for them to develop it. So in order for them to use the funds and justify the development promise and the vision that have constantly been highlighted even in the media too, and for the good of the region, then I think it's imperative for the state assembly to start engaging with the railway authorities to resolve this issue once and for all. Nagaland is one of the focus spots, or specifically Dimapur railway station. So in order for them to use the developmental impetus that has been given to the Dimapur railway station in terms of 230 crores, then it is imperative now for the state assembly or the department itself to actively start pursuing resolution of this issue. Otherwise, no, the funds wouldn't be able to be used, and even the railway station will not be developed in this regard.
Oh, all right. Al, having said that, can you provide more details about the types of unauthorized structures present on the railway land and how many of them are residential versus commercial?
That we do not know. We do not have the data and the stats in this regard. But one thing I do know, I think it was way back 2010, 2009, 2010. There was a big fight that happened at the railway station somewhere towards the north of the railway station, that side. And there was a huge commotion there. The police were involved, the public people were involved, and the issue was, I think it was a mandir that was built on railway property. So I think the police administration, they decided to remove that structure. They wanted to demolish that structure, and then the encroachers, people there who are occupying government land there, they started protesting and they started fighting the police administration during that time. So it would be wonderful if there would be, I'm sure the railway department, they have data in this regard, but as far as we know and as far as we can understand, it is not just commercial or residential structures that are now being built on the railway land there. There are people who have set up illegal shops on railway land. There are proper commercial areas, and there are residential houses there that people have set up. And it's not just on the fringes also, it's even right in the face of railway government land. That is what we have heard.
Al, now that we've discussed about that, what impact do this encroachment have on the planned modernization of, say, Dimapur railway station, and particularly regarding passenger amenities?
I think the impact is huge because Dimapur, I think till 2023, Dimapur was one of the highest, and I think second ranked in the northeast among all railway stations in the northeast states that brought in revenue for the NFR, and it's the second highest revenue railway station in the northeast, second highest. Yeah, so the impact is huge because here we're talking about economic opportunities for the local people, also growth and expansion of the economic reach of the railway stations here. And if there's revenue for the railway station, then definitely the amenities will also improve. We went to Guwahati many years ago by rail, and was horrible, like the toilets and the birds and the sitting areas, the sleeping areas, they're horrible, they're dirty, and there were thousands of people coming in, people with and without tickets. So that's the kind, I don't know how it is now. I've never traveled in trains in a long time after that. So I don't know how the amenities there in the Dimapur railway station is right now, but you could talk about development in terms of comfort, that development can be translated in terms of improved services for the passengers. It could be about booking facilities, it could be about lunch and food facilities, it could be about the traveling experience. So you can translate development in such terms in various other ways, but again we can also talk about development in terms of infrastructure development of the Dimapur railway property. So if you develop it, then I think the user experience will be also great. You are going to open up a lot of opportunities for entrepreneurs to engage in that process also, and which means the more you improve that facility, we are going to get a lot of tourists. For instance, I've heard a lot of people who complain about the train travel experience when they came for the Hornbill festival. So even the whole idea of having bad transport services can affect the revenue of an entire state in some way. I mean, at a microscopic level, but still, if you add 2-3% and if you add lakhs to it, it is the 1 rupee is going to translate into lakhs. So it is not just about one person. So the whole idea is to develop the infrastructure there at the railway station, and if there is development at the railway station, it will also mean that there will be more interest in people using the station, so to say, and there won't be any negative outcome in the sense that people won't look at the railway station in terms of in terms of the user experience. So when you develop the station, it is not just for the station itself, for the NFR, it is also for the entire community, the entrepreneurial community, and by extension the state and its revenue also.
All right, Al, since you've mentioned those factors, what might be the other factors that might delay this process further, besides all this that we've discussed just now?
Yeah, I think like I mentioned earlier, court cases. I think the court cases that have been put up by the encroachers or people who claim that they are on their rightful land, this is the one obstacle that the administration, the government, the NFR have in their way. So until you are able to resolve the issue to the court, then I don't think there is much scope for the authorities or even the railway establishment to move forward, whether it's for development or improvement of the station, development in any form. So right now the court cases are, I think, what the government is looking into, so that they wouldn't have to go full in like they did way back in 2007 and 2008. Because that will mean a situation like the one we are having in Assam right now. The government of Assam has been really bulldozing all establishments and houses and buildings in areas that they claim have been encroached, and thousands of people are moving out of those areas. Many of them are homeless, and it has created a lot of friction within the community and with the community and against the government. So there are a lot of complexities involved here in this regard. So right now, those are the issues that the government and the railways authorities, I believe, they want to avoid. Otherwise, they would have done it in force also, because it's not like the railway establishments suddenly got up one day and started saying, oh, this is our land, you're on our land, you have to get out. No. They have their own land dates authorizations and documents that claim ownership over the lands they are in. And there are people who might have come in later to start claiming those lands. So I think an administrative action on the part of the railways was justified in that sense, but still then the case is in the court, so I believe we'll have to wait for the courts to be able to, for us to be able to move into a solution.
Yes. Al, having said that, so there has been updates that there will be no compensation for this, because this whole area has been a marked territory for railway developmental project, and it's a confirmed news update. So how the other party claims that they have what we call the red book. So they claim that they have all the authorization, as you've just mentioned. So how will this impact the whole dynamic of this railway issue, developmental issue?
Like I said, there are cases in the court right now. The fact that it is in the court says that we cannot just say anything in this regard, who is right and who is wrong, who are the illegal settlers and who are the rightful owners of the railway land. I think till 2023, the Indian railway establishment across the country was marked at somewhere around 4.78 lakh hectares. And out of this, about 828 were designated in the encroached areas in the book of the railways. So that much land is encroached upon. And then even in Dimapur, I think Dimapur has plans to increase its developmental space from the current 5,000 square meters to about 17,500 square meters. So these are the developmental plans. So if you are going to increase it from 5,000 to 17,500 square meters, then it will definitely mean that the railway authorities will have to go beyond the current spot of their ownership here, which means they are going to go into areas which the alleged encroachers have occupied. So the stakes are a lot here, and the Dimapur Railway authorities are not talking about 2 or 3 acres or 2 or 3 hectares or even square meters. They are talking about 38 acres of land that have been encroached out of about 58 acres of land that the railway authorities in Dimapur claim to be theirs. So right now, because of the court cases, we cannot say much. It is very obvious that the alleged encroachers will have documents of some sort. They might have some kind of book that says or that gives them ownership. So the government has to contest against that. So that is why the case is in the court. We'll have to wait for it. But if the court says these are encroachers, then why would you give them a compensation if the government rules in favor of the railway authorities? If the court says, oh, this land belongs to the railway authorities, then no compensation. You can build 3-4 story high buildings, you can build an airport, whatever you want, but there wouldn't be any compensation for you, because the court has said this land belongs to the railways. But if in case the court says no, the lands these people are occupying is rightfully theirs, then the railway people will have to buy the land and properties away from them and give them compensation. So everything, the solution depends on what the government, what the court will say in this regard.
Thank you so much for joining us today and discussing on this issue. We hope for a swift resolution to these issues so that the project can move forward. As we discussed, efforts are being made to involve the Nagaland government in resolving the encroachment issue, with a high-power committee established to address it. The railway authorities hope to connect Nagaland's capital, Kohima, to the railway network by 2026, as part of a broader initiative to enhance connectivity in the northeastern region. We will be updating you more as this case progresses. Thank you for watching HornbillTV's Live.